Welcome back everyone to another episode of my FPL best opening fixtures between game week 1 and game week 10. We've done Arsenal, we've done Liverpool, two of the big six. I'm not sure if that's really what we should call them anymore. So now on to someone different, maybe a team that not that many people have considered, which means there's plenty of room for differentials. I am talking about Brighton. Now I've touched on the channel before, but Brighton are actually one of the kind of most frustrating teams from an FPL point of view because their underlying stats are fantastic. They have a lot of shots. They don't really concede that many in terms of shots, but it's just about converting those opportunities and those results into FPL points. The problem that we seem to have with Brighton is, like I say, is the conversion rate. But towards the back end of last year, they picked up a little bit. They've obviously got a very talented manager in Graham Potter, and there is a chance that the Seagulls could potentially get off to a very good start this season. When you look at the fixture list, there isn't really too much to fear until maybe about game week 9 or 10. But looking at the rest of the fixtures, it's pretty good. They've got Burnley, Brentford, Crystal Palace and Norwich away in the first 8 game weeks, with home games against Watford, Leicester, Everton and Arsenal. Now obviously there's a few tough games in there, but when you consider that the Amex Stadium is very difficult, or is a very difficult place to go to, it suddenly becomes a very tantalising, at least opening 8 game weeks before the City and Liverpool games. While they'll probably be expected to be in another relegation fight, it does seem that year on year Brighton gradually kind of progress and play better football and start building things. Obviously one of the tough things now is that they have lost one of their best defenders in Ben White, but they do have £50 million to spend and reimburse it back into the team and then invest obviously in maybe getting 2 or 3 more quality players. So these picks may well change depending on transfers, but that's true of every single team. At the moment, these are my 3 picks for Brighton players that may have gone slightly under the radar. We'll start arguably with their main man, and probably the most premium pick that they have, maybe apart from Lewis Dunk at $5 million at the back, which is Leandro Trossard. Now the Belgian midfield orchestrator played a very good season last year, didn't do too badly at all. Got himself 132 points overall, which is not bad, and towards the end of the season really picked up his form as he began to play a little bit more up the pitch and Brighton began to kind of get back into the groove and actually begin to put away some chances with the arrival of Danny Welbeck. Trossard seemed to thrive obviously with Welbeck's arrival, with him and Malpe being able to link up, and I do believe that he probably will be Brighton's highest scoring player again this season. The best thing about him is that he's valued at $6.5 million, which is one of the prices that we've been talking about with some of the other players like Bukayo Saka and obviously Emi Buendia, who will probably appear in another video. But Trossard is another really good alternative because he is owned by less than 2% of players in the game. So if you want a cheap midfielder that's pretty much going to play every minute of every game and pretty much everything that Brighton do in an attacking sense goes through Trossard, he is absolutely brilliant in terms of pretty much what you can get from a Brighton player. Obviously now looking at a bit of research and seeing their fixtures, I do think Trossard actually may well end up in my starting 15 because I think as a budget option he's very good and he's just a good solid midfielder that's going to bring in bonus points even if you have him on your bench, although you wouldn't want £6.5 million on your bench, but you see what I'm saying. It's a good option to have on the cheaper end of the scale. There you go. And now it's time for everyone's favourite budget keeper this year. Last year it was Emi Martinez, this year it is Robert Sanchez, and that is reflected in the fact that he is owned by just under 27% of people in the game, so nearly a quarter of over a quarter of the game currently have him in their lineup. And the reason for that is that he took over obviously from Matt Ryan last year as Brighton's #1. He amassed a total of 101 points last year, including 10 clean sheets while making 66 saves and 8 bonus points, which for a goalkeeper is absolutely brilliant. I think only Emi Martinez got more bonus points as a goalkeeper last year. £4.5 million, that is usually a really good price that you want to get one of your goalkeepers at, and I do feel that he is probably the go-to that everyone's going to have, which means that he's not a differential, but on the off occasion where he'll have a really good game, you do probably want to have him in there, at least for the first 8 game weeks. I would say that you want to have him in there. Now don't laugh, but yes, you do see Danny Welbeck on the screen ahead of you. I know a lot of people aren't convinced by Danny Welbeck. I'm not convinced by him either, but you cannot kind of ignore the stats of last season. Priced at £6 million, a player that's pretty much going to play most games as long as he is fit, and that is one of the big problems that you do have with Welbeck. But minutes, if he is fit, is not an issue. He's owned by 2% of the game, which means that he's a massive differential as a striker. Got 89 points last season, but obviously he joined Brighton later on in the season. He had his best scoring season since 2013-2014 with 6 goals, but he also got 4 assists and just looked generally threatening while playing in a Brighton shirt. And obviously with the amount of chances that they have, he's arguably maybe a better finisher than Malpe and some of the other players that they've got there. And I just think that there's something about Danny Welbeck at £6 million. If you want a really, really cheap striker, I just think he's the way to go. I really do. Even if he's a bench filler, you can guarantee that he'll give you minutes and that he will also probably chip in with the odd goal here and there. I'd be surprised if he didn't reach double figures potentially this season. I just think that the way Brighton play is geared to play the way that Welbeck wants. He's going to have loads of chances and he needs that because his conversion rate is awful. Pretty much similar to Brighton. So what if they create 5-6 chances from a game, probably he'll get 1 goal every 2-3 weeks, which as a kind of backup striker is really what you want. And I just think that I've just got a funny feeling about Danny Welbeck is a really good option to go for. You could obviously go for Maupay. I also thought about Tariq Lamptey, but the thing with Lamptey is that again he's very injury prone as well. Although at £4.5 million for a defender, especially with his attacking returns, Lamptey may well be a better pick probably in the long run. But for me, just because if you're looking for a budget striker, I don't think you can get any better than Welbeck this year. I really don't. I think he's not going to have a blistering season, but I think if you're going to pay £6 million for a forward, you'll be hard pushed to find a better deal elsewhere, unless Tammy Abraham becomes free. Tammy Abraham at Brighton, I think, would score a shed load of goals. A shed load. But he's not at Brighton. Welbeck is. So pick Danny. But don't blame me if it goes wrong. And that's it then. Another quick rundown then of another team that has a very good opening fixtures from game week 1 to game week 10. If you agree with me, let me know in the comment section. If you don't agree with me, then be polite and don't agree with me in the comment section. But just thank you very much for obviously watching this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Hopefully there's some good picks in there. Are there any other players from Brighton that you guys are considering? Let me know. And of course, until I see you again for another episode tomorrow, take care of yourselves, everyone. Stay cool. Also, please like, share and subscribe. And then stay cool, because the catchphrase comes after I ask you to like, share and subscribe. Back at it. Efficient. I like it.